Hello and thanks for joining us from our studios in Israel. I'm Aaron Porras here with ILTV's Morning Brief.
The number of coronavirus cases in Israel has now climbed up to over 11,235 and counting, with 181 patients now in serious condition. And last night alone saw 5 deaths, bringing the death toll to 110 in Israel. 133 of those who are sick are now on ventilators, with another 168 moderately ill. The good news, though, is that more than 1,600 have now recovered, and the rest of those diagnosed with coronavirus are only displaying mild symptoms. More than 7,000 of the sick are even being treated at home, and on another positive note, a 22-year-old Israeli who's been in critical condition after being infected with the virus has now improved and regained consciousness. Afik Suissa is one of the youngest people in the country to become seriously ill with COVID-19, despite having no pre-existing medical conditions. So his improvement is a big deal for doctors at Tel Aviv's ILTV Hospital, where he's being treated. Now, despite the weather getting warmer and reports that social distancing regulations are going to let up, the Israeli Health Ministry is still urging Israelis to stay and observe quarantine restrictions because COVID-19 could come back with a vengeance. Israeli health officials are expecting a surge in coronavirus deaths in the next 10 days because many of those who are already seriously ill are expected to succumb to COVID-19 in the coming hours. But not everybody is listening, including many of Israel's own leaders. Israeli President Reuven Rivlin, for one, has apologized to the public after it was revealed that he celebrated the Passover Seder with one of his daughters, despite the strict curfew on the country to prevent people from hosting family gatherings. And he wasn't the only one. Prime Minister Netanyahu also apparently broke quarantine to share a meal with his son Avner, and even Israel Beitenu leader Avigdor Lieberman reportedly celebrated with his son. Israeli leaders now have until midnight to come together and form a coalition. If they fail, Blue and White Party Chairman Benny Gantz will be forced to return the mandate to President Rivlin, and the negotiations will begin anew amongst the general Knesset population. But are the parties truly serious about getting a unity done? In the right-wing bloc, parties are pressuring President Rivlin to turn over the coalition mandate to incumbent Prime Minister Netanyahu. Meanwhile, members on the left are calling on Gantz to quit unity talks with Netanyahu altogether. Taking to Twitter, former top Blue and White member and former IDF Chief of Staff Moshe Ya'alon calls Gantz naive, adding that it isn't too late to fix your error of navigation. Still, Blue and White and Likud are continuing in negotiations, and it may be because if they fail, fourth elections would be called. In rejecting Gantz's recent request for an extension, President Rivlin also indicated that he would not turn over the mandate to Netanyahu next. Instead, there would be a 3-week period in which any MK could put together a coalition. But if that fails, fourth elections would be called. And since making the announcement, negotiations between Blue and White and the Likud resumed following a 5-day stall. Then to keep Netanyahu at the table, Blue and White is again threatening to push legislation banning him from office under indictment. A recent petition to do so has just been dismissed by the High Court, however, citing that the petition had been filed too early, as Netanyahu has not even yet been tasked with forming a government. As restrictions continue across Israel amidst the coronavirus pandemic, unemployment is continuing to balloon. A whopping 25.8% of the population has now registered as unemployed, with just over 6,000 signing up on Sunday alone. That's over 1,075,000 Israelis who are out of work. Israelis have been ordered to stay home in order to prevent the spread of the novel coronavirus, but the orders have shuttered businesses and forced many out of work. Before the outbreak of the disease, the unemployment rate was under 4% in Israel. Initially, most employees were just being put on paid leave when regulations began. But now, more people are losing their jobs. And right now, 79% of those seeking unemployment benefits are on leave, and almost 12% have lost their jobs completely. The Israeli Finance Ministry, meanwhile, has drawn up plans for a gradual release of coronavirus social distancing restrictions on the population to ease the burden on the economy. But it's still believed that over 400,000 of those who have been laid off or placed on unpaid leave will remain unemployed.
That's all for now, but for more news from Israel, remember to like ILTV on Facebook and on Instagram, and to subscribe to us on YouTube. I'm Aaron Porras, and see you later with our main daily broadcast from Israel at 2 p.m. Eastern Time.